Really curious to see where everyone resides currently is working from. So if you can post a comment, and we'll get started in a few minutes here. Awesome. So you guys are probably on lunch. Many folks are from the East Coast, Midwest. Um, you guys are more awake than I am. I am located in Long Beach, California, so waiting to sip my coffee a little bit more. Wonderful. I'm so happy to see. Oh, there's one person from California. You're joining me on the West Coast. I appreciate that. Hi, Matt. And some of my fellow Mosaicians are here too. Well, I love that you guys are so interactive. Please keep the comments rolling in, questions rolling in the chat. And I'll take pause in between my presentation to try and answer most of them if any come up. So with that being said, let's get started. My name is Michelle Collara, and I am one of many technical services leaders here at Mosaic. I oversee and manage our People Analytics, also known as BI, and API development team. I've been with Mosaic for nearly 5 years and in the UKG partner world for over a decade. Gosh, time flies, right? So today we are going to discuss a few topics that I'm extremely excited about and really passionate about, and topics that aren't spoken enough on. So with that being said, sit back, enjoy your lunch or your coffee, and let's dive right in. Let's start off with the People Analytics upgrade. First and foremost, UKG recently announced that they will be upgrading your People Analytics, your BI tool, to IBM Cognos Analytics version 12 or later in early 2026. So what does this mean and how does this impact you and your organizations? Well, all reports created with Query Studio within your UKG Pro People Analytics BI tool will become inaccessible. That might disrupt your data analysis and reporting workflows. Not to worry though, UKG has provided a solution and given you instructions to review each and individual folder within your BI environment to then identify and convert these Query Studio reports to the new reporting format. However, this process might be time-consuming and a bit prone to oversight. But what does Mosaic have to offer in terms of this upgrade? Well, we come to the table also with an API-based solution. Through our API-based solution, we've developed an efficient channel to identify Query Studio reports and to provide you as customers with a full listing of your Query Studio objects and their exact paths within BI, rather than having you manually sift through each and every one of your People Analytics folders. Now, keep in mind, if you have several folders out there, if not hundreds, this solution accelerates your conversion process by guiding you to the exact folder path, thus ensuring a seamless transition to the upgrade. So I'm going to take a pause there. Do you guys have any questions? And I know that was word vomit in the first few minutes of our discussion. So there is a good question in chat that I'm going to display on the screen. How do I know if I have Query Studio reports? Well, within UKG's instructions, they provide on how to convert Query Studio reports to the new reporting format. They provide you with an icon listing that looks like a query to the left of your Query Studio report name. So within your folders, you can display or see several different icons that are associated with Query Studio reports versus new reports or even alerts altogether. And if not, those instructions can be found within the UKG community, or if you ask Mosaic, we can send those directly to you. All right. moving swiftly along. Like I said, within the first few minutes of our discussion, we've already revealed to you how powerful some of these tools and features are that are already at your fingertips. So let's do a deeper dive on the power of tools and features themselves. Another question before I move forward in the chat is, will I be showing you guys this? Unfortunately, I will not be, but you can definitely check back in with Mosaic separately and we can guide you on the instructions. All right, let's talk about the power of people analytics, or BI. First and foremost, what's available at your fingertips is advanced reporting and analytics. This allows users to create custom reports, dashboards, and visualizations to track key HR and payroll metrics. Furthermore, our technical SMEs, myself included here at Mosaic, have the ability to unlock the power of advanced reporting and analytics if in the event you find yourself within the gap of being unable to do so. Secondly, pre-built reports and customizing those pre-built reports. Well, one, UKG provides you all as customers with several, if not hundreds, of pre-delivered solutions within BI. But supplemental to that, you can inquire with us at Mosaic about our own pre-delivered BI solutions. We can then create customized reports themselves to fit your organizational needs. And then last but not least, what do you get out of all of this? Well, data-driven insights. BI helps organizations track workforce trends, monitor compliance, and optimize on your operations through predictive analytics and real-time data analysis. Questions, comments? And thank you, Jeannie. I believe you linked directly on how to convert to a Query Studio report to the new reporting format. All right, let's do a deeper dive on our API solutions that are available to you. First and foremost, API solutions allow for seamless integrations. What does this mean? This enables smooth data exchange between UKG Pro and third-party systems, thus reducing manual data entry and errors. It also allows for automated data transfers. So you can leverage endpoints, right? API endpoints like the web import tool that allows organizations to import data into UKG Pro efficiently. And similarly, UKG provides several endpoints to enable automated data extraction. By doing so, you then get scalable and repeatable deployments. We can then templatize API integrations to make it easier to deploy to solutions across multiple platforms and or customers. Now, my second favorite topic during this presentation, how do we combine BI and API solutions? And before I dive into this, let me check the comments in chat if there are any other good questions that are out there. And put this on the screen. What data from different modules are available in People Analytics? Any additional data sources? That's a really good question. So you have HR core payroll data, so it includes benefits from OE or LE. You also have dimensions data, which is also known as WFM. Of course, assuming that you as a customer have implemented the package with UKG to report on. And then all the additional modules like talent, succession management, recruiting, performance management. So there is a huge number of modules that are available to report on within People Analytics. Oh, you guys are definitely hitting the chat with more. Let's do one more question before I move on. Are changes to BI targeted to just Query Studio? Any impacts to dashboards and alerts? That is correct. It's only to Query Studio objects. Those will become obsolete. Dashboards and alerts will remain as is. All right, let's leave room for one more comment if you guys have any, because again, moving on to my favorite topic, I want to talk about how we combine BI and API solutions together. Any takers? No? All right. Oh, there's one, last one. How do I know if I have Query Studio reports? I believe I answered this earlier in the chat, and one of you have so kindly provided the UKG community link on how to convert a Query Studio report. Those instructions will also help you identify what a Query Studio report is. Favorite it there, and it's provided by Jeannie Darby, if you guys want to scroll up in the chats, and if not, we can supply that to you afterwards. All right, combining BI and API solutions. Let's talk about what UKG has available as an API endpoint for BI altogether, and that is called Reports as a Service. And I like to refer to it as RaaS for short. RaaS is one of the most powerful features of UKG Pro's API framework. It enables organizations' ability to extract real-time HCM and payroll data efficiently by providing a scalable, automated, and secure way to integrate UKG Pro data from your BI tool with other systems. But why is RaaS a game changer, right? RaaS allows businesses to fetch live reports from UKG Pro, eliminating the need for scheduled report runs and manual exports. This ensures that third-party systems always have up-to-date data. Angela, you are great. You are speaking my language in the chat right now. So secondly, API-driven flexibility and automation, which she's so kindly called out in the chat. So instead of manually logging into UKG Pro BI to run reports, RaaS APIs enable your software engineers or internal developers to programmatically request that data. This makes it ideal for automated workflows such as syncing payroll data to accounting systems or updating benefit providers. And moving right along, this also allows for data integration across platforms, several platforms. This works seamlessly with HR tech ecosystems, including benefit platforms, timekeeping solutions, ERP systems, and any custom applications. This helps in eliminating data silos by connecting UKG Pro BI reports with external databases and analytics tools. Terry in the chat said, so IT developers, not generally an HRIS team. This allows for collaboration amongst the HRIS team and the IT team to then enable access to the API and build upon that. But we'll talk about solutioning in just a moment here. So second to last, customizable data extraction. This supports custom BI reports, meaning businesses can tailor data exactly to what needs to be retrieved for their specific needs. Which segues me into my last and most important point, data governance. So secure and controlled access. This mitigates complexities around data governance. Whatever is supplied in the BI report will be sent downstream, meaning it reduces compliance risks by enforcing proper data governance within the report itself. We'll take one more pause because this chat is blowing up. And let's see what other questions are available. All right, Jeffrey in the chat said, is there a date for the Query Studio sunset? Did I say 2026? So there wasn't an exact date provided by UKG, but they did say early 2026. A few more questions before we wrap up on my next slide. Does the WFM package in People Analytics come standard with implementation, or is it a separate ask? It would be a separate ask if you purchase WFM Analytics. All right, I love that you guys are helping answer each other's questions as well. While you guys do that, I will go and move on to my next slide around solutioning. So how can Mosaic help you? Well, the first action item to prepare for is the People Analytics upgrade well ahead of time. We can quickly identify all of your BI Query Studio reports and their paths through Mosaic's API-based solution. We can also assist you in converting these Query Studio reports to the new reporting format. When it comes to development, though, our technical SMEs, myself included, have the ability to make recommendations on what is feasible. We can level up your initial requirements for long-term solutions. Now, let's say after you refreshed yourself on your Query Studio reports and find that these are now outdated, Mosaic can assist you in optimizing your reports and suggest new enhancements for further value in your reporting and analytics. And of course, last but not least, API development. If you don't know where to start, but you think a custom API integration might be the solution, inquire with Mosaic and ask about our API assessments, which allow us to do a deep dive into your needs and help determine if and what API solution would work best for your organization. We also educate you, right, with these assessments so that there is a clear understanding of what the build should be. And if done with Mosaic, we can hit the ground running when it comes to the development of the custom API integration. All right. Now I will open the floor as if you guys haven't already asked the questions that you wanted to ask during the chat. But first and foremost, thank you for your time today, this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you guys are located. But please, for any questions, I'll stay on for just a bit longer. But I do want to note that the slides and presentation will be, or recording, excuse me, will be provided to you guys after we wrap up. Just catch myself up to speed in the chat. Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for joining. Good question with Bryce. I will show on our screen as well. What's the difference between a Mosaic API and getting an API through UKG? Better pricing. So I think there's a explanation for both. So UKG has some pre-delivered API solutions, but what I've discussed today is custom API solutions. When it comes to a custom API integration, one that UKG has not built, right? UKG will not build one for you, actually, but you as customers become empowered through UKG's developer hub to either inquire with a UKG partner like us to do the development of the custom integration, or if you have in-house software engineers and developers yourself, you guys can do that and come to Mosaic for client-side support and guidance or recommendations on what endpoints should you be using for this type of integration, what's the data set, how will this impact granting access to your IT departments or your dev teams. So really, Mosaic can step in all aspects of the project, either doing the development ourselves, assisting your developers, or just simply going through an assessment to make sure, are we headed in the right direction? All right. And another good question from Margaret, can API replace benefit vendor files? That one's a little bit tricky because it really depends on the vendor. If the benefit vendor has public API availables, then quite possibly it can, right? You can use BI reports through reports as a service, or if there's an available API endpoint for benefits information, depending on where you have your benefits. If it's within core open enrollment life events, we can definitely build benefits reports. But when it comes to modules like benefits hub, benefits administration, that is really contingent upon the module themselves. And yes, you guys will receive a copy of the deck from today. Any other questions? We'll give it just a few more minutes before we wrap up and end this call. Oh, you're most welcome. All right. I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Mosaic. Oh, one more. Any options to run a list of team content? So from Charlotte over here, any options to run a list of team content and types of reports from the system? I'm glad you asked. Yes, we are not confined to just identifying your Query Studio objects, but also have the ability to identify everything within your ZZZ company folders. Another one here. So the conversion process will still need to be done on your end. The API will just help us identify them. That is correct. Rather than having to go into each BI folder trying to find Query Studio objects, we'll give you that list that has the exact report path and the title of it, so that you can save yourself the time in trying to guess and run through several reports, alerts, Query Studio objects all together. So it's really an identification list. Yes. Matt makes a great point, which is why data governance was such an important point for me to talk about in terms of secure and controlled access to your data. So be careful when granting access to certain APIs to your internal teams, because there may be sensitive or PI data included. Right. Every time I think I've slowed down with the comments, a new one comes in. So I'm going to keep quiet and stay online for one more minute just to make sure. All right. I think that's a wrap, everyone. I really thank you all for your time. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Mosaic. You can even reach out to Mosaic and ask for me. I'd be happy to assist with any questions, comments, or concerns pertaining to this presentation. Thank you again and have a great day, everyone.